Anna Porteous from Kingston upon Thames in England. 4-seat Anushka Fenley from Oxford, England. 3-seat Jessica Thanes from Highland Ranch, Colorado. 2-seat Joe from Vashon Island. And in the bow, turn it back over to Steve for the start. Okay, thanks, White. That was the Huskies in lane 1, and we had Western's varsity in lane 2. Sorry, I don't think that was quite correct. We have the Seattle University varsity in lane 2, University of Puget Sound in lane 3, and Lewis and Clark over in lane 4. So we got an exciting race, almost getting ready to go. And it does look like we have a Twitter update from Dexter Lake, and unfortunately the dogs have fallen by less than a second to the Stanford women. So it sounds like it was a very tight race with the crews even with 500 to go, and Stanford just pulling out the win at Dexter Lake. So back to the shores of Lake Washington here, though. It is actually getting a little calmer. The wind's calmed down. The water is glassing off. It's really pretty perfect race conditions for an early April race here on the Montlake Cut. So the crews are all locked in. Final adjustments being made. Sitting up at the catch with blades flat on the water. The liner has raised his flag. He has them in and looking straight across. Everyone appears ready. So we're waiting on the starter now to start pulling the crews and begin. So we have Seattle U in lane 2, Puget Sound in 3, and Lewis and Clark over in 4. So again, Seattle U, coached by Jenny Park, a Washington grad, 2010, leading the Seattle U program. The liner's flag is up. We're still waiting here. And the Huskies are in their yellow Umpacher with all 3 other crews rowing white Pocock, right, built in Everett, Washington.
This is that dead start.
And the starter has begun the poll. University of Washington, Seattle University, University of Puget Sound, and Lewis and Clark College. Attention. Go. And here we go. We got the women's varsity 8 race starting off. Good, clean beginning strokes. First 3, smooth and quick from the Huskies. And Seattle getting a little close to Puget Sound there. Watching the lanes. A little course correction from Seattle U. But right now, the Huskies are taking a couple-seat lead over Seattle and University of Puget Sound, who are pretty much dead even across from each other, with Lewis and Clark maybe just down. Just a deck down from Lewis and Clark behind Puget Sound in the early running. Right now, the Huskies taking that lead, rowing really strong, sitting out tall. Nice catches, good clean blade work from the dogs early on. And it looks like they've not quite got a length lead over Seattle U. Well, all crews are striding down. And the 3 Pococks, the lane 2, 3, 4, Seattle, Puget Sound, and Lewis and Clark are in a 3-way straight across race with the Huskies about a length in front of them. So the women are watching about a 38. And Seattle U getting called again to kind of squeeze out of the way of Puget Sound. I thought I heard a little clash of blades over there. So we got to watch where we're headed, get all of these crews back into their lanes, get it sorted out. But right now in the trailing books, it looks like Seattle just sitting a little ahead of Lewis and Clark, who is sitting a slight bit ahead of Puget Sound as we cross 500. The Huskies have open water, about probably a half a length to a length of open water ahead of the 3 other crews.
Oh, look at her.
Well, if you're in a yellow boat right now, you like what you see. The Umpacher, as Steve said, is comfortably in the lead. They're rowing a 36. They're in their mid-course pace. The other 3 crews are describe it? They're rowing side by side.
Like
Lane 2 and Lane 4 are virtually tied. Lane 3 has fallen back about 4 seats. But the Washington crew has a commanding lead. They've opened it up to a full boat and a half length of open water. And the looks on their faces, they have a sense of purpose. They're getting into that smooth mid-course cadence. I can hear the coxswain calling it. They're right where they want to be. And quoting Mary a few minutes ago, Plan A. They're rowing Plan A right now, which is, let's look at those split times. How can we match or beat our previous split times? But we got a great race. Washington comfortably in the lead. So back to you, Steve. Yeah, the women of Washington taking this race, controlling it, rowing really well, staying long, staying up at their race pace, keeping that cadence high, just spinning it around. These women have to be ready. They're getting really ready for next week's race, which is against Washington State University, where they'll match up really well against the Cougars. So in the other part of the race, we have Lewis and Clark taking a nice little lead, looking to be about 3 to 4 seats, maybe even approaching half a length here as we cross the 1,000 meters. And that's Lewis and Clark leading Seattle U, who is then leading University of Puget Sound. So the Seattle U coxswain is on the bow ball of Puget Sound, and the Lewis and Clark coxswain is approaching bow speed of Seattle U and hoping to get herself up to that bow ball here before the 500-meter mark in the Mountain Lake Cut. The women of Washington are way out in front. They are getting up to the canoe house now, 800, rowing well, sitting up tall, clean catches, good performance here by the Huskies. So Lewis and Clark taking a little bit of a charge right before the cut from Seattle U, who's made a little bit of a comeback. And it looks like the coxswain for Lewis and Clark is now sitting on about the 2 to 3 seats. So a couple seats returned by Seattle U. And for Lewis and Clark, got to get ready for this sprint and see what they can do as they get into the cut. Mary, let's go over to you for the finish.
Sam Parr was just driving that women's varsity 8, who's comprised mostly of the second varsity 4 and 3V candidates, if you will. So it's a pretty stacked and loaded varsity 8 coming across and into the cut. But the race for second, it is getting really close between Lewis and Clark and Seattle University. But here comes the Washington Huskies. They just crossed the 500 to go. And they definitely have the program on their shoulders, being the top boat of the day for the Washington women. But as you can see, they're just sitting up tall. They're trying to get that blade in behind them, and they're just trying to lever that boat past that blade as they just keep driving into the cut. And here comes the race for second. You can see Lewis and Clark just coming into your screen if you're watching with the live stream. Lewis and Clark is in lane 4, and that coxswain is just looking over to check to see what Seattle University is doing as everybody is trying to get that race for second. And here comes the Huskies. They are just passing that bridge. They've got 250 and less than 250 meters to go, and they're just starting to take their first step of the sprint, which is good because it looks like they're sitting up a little taller. They're getting a little bit more bite on that face of the blade, and they are just trying to think about maximizing that boat speed rather than that stroke rate. And you know these women are sticking close to that race plan because they are down their teammates down at Dexter. We need to win this race for them, and we need to win this race for them.
Boom. Oh, come on.
Looks like the angle is giving it to Seattle University coming in second.
Wait.
Put over lap with Lewis and Clark. So Seattle University coming in second, Lewis and Clark coming in third. And we've got UPS coming in fourth. 2 strokes to go, and they are over that finish line. So that concludes the women's varsity.